Welcome to Cloud Interview Questions, an initiative by CloudWati. So today we are going to see a special kind of feature in Azure networks called Azure Bastion. For people who are like comfortable with accessing servers, you may heard a term called jump box, right? So instead of exposing my application directly to the internet, wherein anyone can actually try to access the application through over the internet through RDP or SSH, if it is a sensitive application that is stored in the VM, or if it contains any sensitive data, then we may use something called a jump box. A jump box is a temporary placeholder, right? So that would be exposed to the internet. So instead of exposing the actual resource to the internet, we will be exposing this temporary placeholder called jump box or bastion, right? So we will expose that. So internet users, like only the allowed users, will connect to this temporary jump box, and from that they can connect to the actual resource, right, through internal communication through virtual network. So this is the concept of Azure Bastion, right? So instead of we doing a remote access over the thick clients like RDP for Windows VMs or SSH for Linux VMs, we can directly access the VMs over the browser itself. So instead of downloading an RDP file and using a remote desktop connection program to open the RDP file and connecting to that or accessing the Windows VM, we can directly open the VM in the browser itself, in the thin client itself, right? So that is basically the feature of Azure Bastion. So what are the advantages of that, right? So I have a Windows VM, right? If it is a Windows 10 operating system, then I can directly download the RDP file. I'll have the remote desktop connection program to automatically open the RDP file and access the Windows VM. What if I'm using a Mac OS, right? In Mac OS, I may not have this remote desktop connection program available in by default, right? So I may have specific program available in probably the marketplace or the Play Store, but this program is not available by default, right? But I have to access. Or in many organizations, so if you're trying it in your probably an office asset, right? They may have restricted the remote access. So generally, they won't allow any RDP connection to happen from our office laptops, right? In those cases, if you want to access a VM, then you can enable the Bastion subnet. So Bastion subnet is a additional configuration that you have to do it in the virtual network. So you need to assign some uh, pool of IP addresses. So it will take one of those available Bastion IP address and it will assign to our VMs, right? So the first advantage is we can directly open it in the thin client browser itself instead of like going to the PIC clients like RDP or PuTTY or WinSCP. Another advantage is we need not even give a we need not expose our application to the public IP address, right? So previously, if you're not using a Bastion, then we will have a VM and we have to expose it to the internet, right? We have to open port 443 for HTTPS or port 80 for HTTP, and we have to open the port and then we have to allow the access over the internet, right? So which puts my application at risk. So because any hacker can they can get this IP address and they can try to log into our VMs, right? To avoid that, if our resources more critical or sensitive, or if you want more protection, then you can keep only the private IP address. We need not expose our actual resource or asset to internet, but we will have only the private IP address. This Bastion, it will have a common static public IP address, right? We will expose the Bastion to the internet. So it would be the temporary placeholder or it would be the jump box, right? So it will have the actual it will be exposed to the internet, and anyone can access or log into the jump box, and from jump box they can do an internal connection to the actual application via virtual network that is available in Azure. So this is Azure Bastion. This pretty much dramatically increases the security of your VMs, but it will take a lot of time to configure it compared to your actual VM spin-off, and that is why it is still not popular in the market, but it is a very important security feature. Hope you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Thank you.